Okay, if you're not excited about Titans, which you should be, hopefully after this video you will be. Because reading this exclusive article from splashreports.com, they got an insane scoop on what we can expect from episode 1. They got some really insane details, so be sure to stick with this video to find out exactly what to expect from episode 1 of Titans, because man, it's just everything, or sounds at least like everything I've wanted from a DC TV show. So of course guys, you said more Titans videos, so I'm doing more Titans videos, and if you're new to this channel, why not subscribe for more Titans videos just like this, because I will be covering the show. This article isn't exactly like very brand new. I believe it came out, yeah, the 29th of June, and it says exclusive. Titans story details are here. I'll be sure to leave the article in the description. But the thing that's just got me so excited is not only that it tells us about the characters and what to expect in terms of flashbacks and, you know, how the episode is structured, but also the tone. The tone of it is just like, yes, finally we're getting darker, grittier, basically R-rated kind of show. I mean, hopefully it gets R-rated, but yeah, that seems exactly what Titans is going for. So let's go over and break down the details. So the whole pilot is centered around Robin, Raven, and Starfire, which isn't really surprising because, you know, I expect other characters, you know, for example, like Hawk and Dove, that we've already seen images of, to somehow weave their way throughout the show. And, you know, we've heard of Chase and Todd and stuff like that. So obviously they're going to start off strong, concentrating on their best and core characters, and yeah, just stay tuned for what I have left to talk about, because it is some seriously juicy stuff. So the episode will begin with a flashback revolving around the Flying Graysons, which is an obvious backstory to Dick Grayson, and I'm really looking forward to this. It makes sense, but supposedly it serves also as an introduction to Rachel, which for those of you who don't know is Raven. So I'm wondering, and this, it was kind of like obscure in a way how this serves as an introduction to Rachel, because it does say, quote unquote, this flashback is used as both a primer to the backstory of Dick Grayson and an introduction to Rachel Roth. So I'm wondering if this is just I don't know, like some kind of scene where Dick is talking to Rachel and then he's going over his backstory, and that's how it like serves as that introduction into Rachel, because he might be talking to her, blah 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 blah. Then we see the flashback of the, you know, the Flying Graysons. That is just an idea, but you know, let me know in the comments down below and how else you think this can be done. But another really intriguing aspect of this flashback is that it supposedly really gives us a really good look at Raven's, you know, untapped potential of her power, because she, as if you guys know her character, she is insanely powerful. But at this point, it's just more like, you know, I don't know what to do with it, but also, you know, her unstable psyche. So it's going to be interesting to see how this will connect with this flashback with Dick Grayson, and I'm hoping it kind of goes along the lines of maybe those two talking to each other, and maybe, I don't know, it just kind of weaving in that way. But as for everything else in the first episode, it is very much so segregated and structured around each individual hero, really. Supposedly it will also even be, you know, separated with like little graphics at the bottom. It could be like, you know, Robin, or like, and then like Raven, and like a massive cool splat of graphic on the screen, you know, for each segment of the character in the episode, culminating as this kind of introduction into Titans before they obviously kind of come together as the Titans, which should go without saying makes sense, because why would you want to just see this rushed? You want to see why Dick left Batman and went to San Francisco. You want to see what the heck is going on with Rachel and her untapped powers and her unstable psyche. You want to see what is going on with Starfire, and then you want to see exactly how this brings them all together. But honestly guys, I'm just so over the moon with all of this information. I don't think I felt this excited in a while, and I do not want to overhype this thing because of obvious reasons. I almost can't help myself, because they then went on to talk about tone in the article, and they said this isn't a show for children. Now that should be obvious anyway, but it's not a show for anyone particularly young who still watches, you know, shows that they're probably not meant to through age rating, but it's definitely not designed for that young audience, because it involves F-bombs, you know, S-bombs, you know, in terms of the violence and the action. You hear bones snapping. They also described in the report like people getting mangled and burnt. They're not holding back, and they're really going for that like brutal, like just what I've wanted, like as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, what I've wanted from a show. So for example, whilst still maintaining that cool, vigilante, brutal Dick Grayson, Nightwing, Robin vibe, and we'll have all of this awesomeness and action, you know, bone-snapping action in that. We're still gonna have like the really cool, as they reported as well, fantastical kind of powers from Raven and Starfire, but also having this really cool, serious vibe consistent throughout the show. It's just gonna be... So who is the first character to be introduced? I'll give you a guess. It is obviously Robin. That's, you know, why not start off quite strong? He looks amazing. I know we haven't seen anything official for the other characters, and I want to talk about that in a second, because obviously everybody was going crazy about Starfire and saying she looked like certain things and was really like doubting the show. But apparently there's some new info shed on that, which I'll get to in a second. But anyway, Robin, he will be the first person you guys see in the show. He obviously doesn't work with Batman anymore because he literally grew to hate him, and he just left Gotham City to go to actually San Francisco, which is interesting, with the Robin suit still, which makes sense because he's not Nightwing yet. He hasn't got random ass Nightwing suit out of nowhere. So he's gone to be, I guess, still somewhat of a hero, but also a detective, supposedly, which is obviously very true to the comics, but with the Robin suit still. So I'm really glad that we're going to see a bit more than that Robin suit than what I initially thought. I thought it might be just a flashbacky kind of thing, or he might still have it in the first episode. And I didn't expect to go full on Nightwing straight away, but it's interesting that he's still holding onto the Robin cape, because, you know, he grew to hate Batman, and that's still somewhat a part of what he had with Batman. But I guess he really takes pride in that kind of role he had, or that Bruce, you know, gave to him, that he's stuck with that despite separating, like almost becoming estranged with Bruce for now. Cool thing as well, and this is kind of how I thought it might be done, not exactly this at all, but you know, in terms of Batman in the show, from what this is just episode 1, don't forget, Dick will be seeing like shadows of Batman, only to like turn around and realize, oh, it was his own shadow, because I think in his psyche, he's, you know, it's very recent in a way that he's, you know, left Batman, and the drama it's not like it happened years and years and years ago or anything like that. So he's worried about becoming like Bruce. So I'm looking forward to those scenes. I always thought, in terms of them doing the Batman, you know what they're like on TV. They won't proper show it in a way. They might show a Bruce Wayne, but as for the Dark Knight, I thought the best we would get in terms of the actual Bruce is maybe a grapple hook in the distance or something like that. But they described it in the first episode that it's just gonna be like a shadow, and it will be like a mind trick, and then it'll be like, oh my god, he's not there. It's just you, Dick. Don't worry. So yeah, needless to say, as Titans starts, Dick Grayson really isn't in a great place. But he's still, as I mentioned, he's going to be a detective on the police force, and we're introduced to the characters like Detective Rohrbach and Wolf. However, Dick Grayson doesn't really like to work with people anymore because he's kind of scarred from what Batman did to him. So you can kind of see, obviously, where this is going throughout the season, because obviously he will be in the Titans. At first, he'll be very closed off to relationships because of the whole Batman thing, but he will grow to learn that essentially, you know, he will find a new family in the Titans, and it will just be a cool development to watch, and probably a very interesting one for you Robin fans out there, that this guy who is completely shut himself off will be coming more and more and more open, like peeling back the layers, I guess, with Raven and Starfire and the others. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that. So then the episode will move to Raven. Like I guess it'll just splat on the screen or something like that and be like Raven. But as for the Raven stuff, as you can imagine, if you know a bit about her character, she's not in exactly a great place either. We'll see kind of a look into her mother, who's apparently an insomniac and is kind of struggling to raise the child that is, you know, Rachel, Raven, but she's also bullied at school, and people are aware, like the neighbors and stuff like that, are aware of how kind of weird she is to them, or how people perceive her as kind of strange. Supposedly, with her being bullied at school, it's very clear that her classmates are going to be a very big part of her, like, story moving forward in the show. But something that's really cool is supposedly we are introduced to, like, Raven's powers, which I'm really looking forward to see quite early on. And it says here as well that it highlights a deeply disturbed, almost demonic individual residing inside her. So guys, let me know what you think of that in the comments below, because it's just going to be, I don't know, I just feel like this series has so much potential, and everything I keep reading here is just like, yes, 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 yes. But with Raven's story, this is where we're introduced to one of the main antagonists of the show, or it was a clear antagonist of the show, and supposedly he is called the Acolyte. So right here it says he is a mysterious hitman whose intentions and superiors are unclear, but hint at a more extensive narrative at play. So without spoilers, they're saying, let's say that the Acolyte prompts some change within Rachel's life that launched the entire show into motion. So this is where essentially shit gets real. And then before we get to Starfire, apparently there's a few more like developments between Robin and Rachel, or Robin and Raven, sorry. But then whap bam, on the screen, I'm guessing Starfire. And supposedly, you know, when everybody, all those pictures came out and people saw her in like that dress, or like, you know, as if she just came out of like an 80s club or something like that. And supposedly, according to this article, that is because she did that night, and everyone was like, oh my god, like, is this her costume, or is this how she's gonna look kind of consistently throughout the show? Apparently not, and this article has given me a lot of reassurance, so hopefully this also reassures you about Starfire. But apparently when we first meet Starfire, she is wham smack right in the middle of a car crash, and also some armed men are supposedly chasing her, but the viewer isn't really meant to know as to why this is happening. Supposedly this introduction is set the night after those set photos we saw of her like at that 80s club thing, whatever. But then she learns supposedly that she has multiple passports and that she can speak multiple languages. The article, for obvious reasons, without wanting to go into too much spoilers, and I wouldn't really want to know myself, events happen, and this kind of sows the seeds that are set in place that weaves within the Titans storyline and sets up some more stuff for the Titans later on, supposedly. Supposedly around this point is around 50 minutes in, and something really jaw-dropping happens that just kind of makes you want more. You know, there's violence involved. It's just apparently insane from what this article describes. So yeah, I'm really glad with the length of the show as well. If they're saying 50 minutes in, something like pretty mad happens, that kind of sets even more up and makes you want more. And then the article essentially ends just absolutely complimenting the show for its darker tone, it's the way it set up its characters. And so really my thoughts here, guys, are that just what I've said throughout. I couldn't be more excited for this show. I think through this article, you guys should be insanely excited as well. If you're a fan of The Flash and Arrow is, I would say, the darker DC show consistently, whereas The Flash is definitely invoked really, you know, like emotions out of me. You know, when Barry went back and saw his mother, season 3 of The Flash was very dark. Like, it's not like being completely lighthearted, but it's been very CW moderate age, hasn't it? So imagine a show that does all these things, but is also darker, has a dark tone, has bone-snapping violence. You know, man, I think this goes without saying. It's just going to be really cool. I, personally, after hearing all of this, I'm very excited for Dick Grayson. I'm really looking forward to seeing why. Well, we kind of know why anyway if you read the comics, but like this show's interpretation of why and how he grew to hate Batman, why he left, why he's in such an awful place because of what his relationship was like with Bruce, because I'm a huge Batman fan, the Bat Family and everything like that. The action they've connected with Dick Grayson as well sounds really interesting, but that's obviously going to be consistent throughout the show as well. And obviously he's going to be, I feel like, one of my more interested in characters. So let me know what you guys think of all of this news in the comments below. Let me know what you're most excited about from what I've read out about the article. Let's really start a conversation in the comments below, guys. But if you are new to this channel, please do not forget to subscribe for more Titans videos just like this. But other than that, guys, if you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on it, as it really does show your support for the channel and this video. Be sure to check out those links in the description. I have links to my social media and my Patreon, of course. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.